evening, everyone, and thank you for coming. I would like to call the Monday, April 14th, 2025 Blue Springs Planning Commission meeting to order. Please rise and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We welcome everyone present. Looks like we have a little gallery outside. I don't know if they're joining us. And
They are not.
they're not. Okay.
No, they're 4-H club here
I thought
for
that'd be
tour of
fun,
the police
though.
department.
And thank you for those watching at home. Tracy, could we get a roll call, please, for attendance?
Of course. Stokenberry,
Present.
Commissioner Smith,
Present.
Commissioner Sanderson,
Present.
Commissioner Cradoff,
Present.
Commissioner Graham,
Present.
Commissioner Howe,
Here.
Commissioner Ingersoll,
Present.
Commissioner Pumphrey,
Present.
Chairperson Henning.
Present.
Full house.
Full house tonight. All right, good to see everybody. Tonight's agenda consists of item 1, the minutes from the March 24th, 2025 Planning Commission meeting. Items 2, 7, and 8, the rezoning, preliminary plat, and final plat for Blue Springs High School. Items 3 and 4 is the general development plan and conditional use permit for asphaltic surfaces. Items 5 is the conditional use permit for 500 Artie Mize offices. Items 6 and 9 is a vacation and final plat for Hy-Vee, third plat. Item number 10, we'll hear from staff about the community development report for March and then adjournment. At this time, I would entertain a motion for approval for the minutes from the meeting of March 24th.
So moved.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
And a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes. Moving on, I will now open the public hearing for agenda items 2, 7, and 8. Rezoning RZ 03-25-9502. Preliminary plat PP 03-25-9503. And final plat PF 03-25-9504 for Blue Springs High School. At this time, I'll ask for exhibits from our city attorney, Josh Newell.
The city would like to enter exhibits 1 through 8.
Thank you, Josh. Everybody that's here this evening that would like to speak on this project, either about it or in favor or in opposition, please rise and be sworn in together as a group.
Raise your right hand, please. You solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in this case to be the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Thank you for that. And at this time, I believe Ms. Fry is ready for a presentation on this project.
So Chantel Fry on behalf of the city, 903 West Main. Good evening, Chairman and Commissioners. Before you this evening is a request for a rezoning the preliminary and final plat for Blue Springs High School, which is located at 901 Northwest 19th Street. The current property includes the one parcel, which is approximately 4.93 acres and is currently zoned as a residential estate. And as you can see on the screen here, the subject property that we will be talking about is going, that is not the right, is it? Oh, there it is, yep. Excuse me. Okay, so the first request will be to rezone the subject property. Let's get this. Okay. To rezone the subject property from the residential estate to an SF7 PD, which is a single family plan development. The 2014 comprehensive plan includes the subject property as a neighborhoods, which is defined as an area for residential living, arranged in connected patterns of streets and blocks to provide access to civic and neighborhood amenities. The comp plan also states that it designates as a neighborhood should also have connections to gathering places and of neighborhood center to meet daily needs. The intent of the PD zoning district is for this site is required as part of the campus plan for the Blue Springs High School, since all 3 lots included in the campus is greater than 30 acres and the building type is a prominent civic. The second request for this evening is the preliminary and final plat, which covers the entire 4.93 acres, which is the lot 4 as you see above. The applicant is not proposing to have any new structures on lot 4, and the existing parking lot will remain unchanged. The existing network, Northwest Road Network, Ashton Drive, and Northwest 19th Street is adequate to accommodate the traffic generated by this current use. There's already ADA compliant sidewalks that currently exist along Northwest Ashton Drive and Northwest 19th Street, and the public stormwater improvements are not required for this project as there will be no increase to the site's total impervious area. Staff has reviewed the rezoning request under the 9 review criteria included in the staff report and finds that the request is in accordance with the comprehensive plan. The property has to be rezoned to include the planned development for the Blue Springs High School campus plan. And based on the review criteria, staff recommends approval of this rezoning request. Staff reviewed the preliminary plat under the 7 criterias included in the staff report and finds that the preliminary plat is in accordance with the comprehensive plan, and staff recommends approval of the preliminary plat with the 1 condition. And then staff reviewed the final plat under the 6 criteria included in the staff report. The final plat is in substantial compliance with the proposed preliminary plat considering the lot layout and access, and staff recommends approval of the final plat with the 2 conditions listed. I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have this evening.
Thank you, Ms. Fry. Any questions up here for staff? I hear none. Is the applicant here would like to give us a briefing on the project?
Hi, my name's James David Ratley. I'm with MKEC Engineering. I'm speaking on behalf of the school district on this project. My address is 11827 West 112th Street in Overland Park, Kansas 66210. And I'm here to answer any questions if there are any.
Any questions up here? Hearing none, thank you very much. Anybody in the audience who would like to speak in favor of this project? You've been sworn in?
Yes, I
Okay,
did it
just
with the group.
double check.
Yes, sir. My name is Matt Roberts, MattroBerds. I live a little west of the high school at 2913 Northwest Castle Drive, Blue Springs in Kings Ridge. Generally, just want to say I support it. I'm in favor of it. I remember being in this room a few years ago when the representative from Harvest Baptist made the proposal that this would become part of the school district campus. The one concern I do have with it, I know there's not a building, there's not any work being done. There is a silt fence, an erosion fence that was put on the property when the church was demolished, and I know that's it's either Missouri DNR or EPA that you have to do that because of potential runoff. That is still there. The area where the building was has kind of been seeded in turf, but kind of not. I drove by it on the way to the meeting, and it's kind of muddy, so it may still need that silt fence. Those fences are usually kind of temporary. They're designed to last 6 months to a year. And so I was wondering if it was a possibility, if it still needs it, to either have that fence repaired, if it needs it, or to take it out, or plant grass and take it out, whatever it takes to get rid of it, just because it's starting to deteriorate. It may cause a problem for people navigating that parking lot or 19th Street or Ashton Drive. I also realize that, tonight there's no buildings, there's no new things going on. The school district may have some plans for that that will come along, sooner or later. If there's going to be bulldozers on it this summer or this fall, it's not that big a deal. But if it's going to be, a couple of years from now before they start building a parking lot or a structure or whatever, then I just feel like that fence needs to be taken care of. And that was my comment on the preliminary plat.
Thank you very much. Your comments are heard by us, even though we don't have any power about that, but the applicant's here, and I see him nodding his head, so. Anything else?
No, that's all I have.
You may address that, yes.
Do I need to do anything else? Just David Ratley again?
Yep,
James?
yep,
Okay.
you don't have to do it again.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, we know who you are.
Yeah, the district's aware of the issue. They're in communication with the city. I think the inspector said it failed from that inspection component. So they are in the process of getting that established, getting the seed established, and once it's established, they'll take the fence down and they'll repair the fence as necessary if there are some fences that are. are in good standing. So yeah, that's in the works right now, and they're working on that. So they'll take care of it.
Thank you very much. Anybody else here that would like to speak in favor of this project? Seeing no one else, is there anybody here that would like to speak in opposition to this project? Seeing none, last chance, I will close the public comment section of the hearing. Anything else from staff
I have nothing further on it.
or applicant? Anything else up here? From my perspective, it seems like it's almost just like a cleanup procedure we're going through.
That is absolutely what it is cleanup and getting the main campus all as one
Okay.
final plat rather than plat here, plat
Okay.
there.
And the main reason why they're doing it is because when they acquired the church property and tore down the church building, one of the reasons they indicated to staff was they didn't want to leave it open to vandalism. And so they wanted to get the building down as fast as possible, and also they didn't want to pay for the heating and cooling costs, and also let the roof cave in and all, get moldy and stuff. And our development code does not allow parking as a primary use on a lot, except in downtown. And so when they took down the building, the parking lot became essentially a non-conforming accessory use. And so the agreement staff made with the developer, or with the school district at that time, is that later they would come in and go through this rezoning process to add it to the high school campus and also to include it in the plat. So this is just them following through with their commitment to do that with staff.
Upholding the school district's long tradition of being a good neighbor.
That's correct.
Anything else? All right, I will close the public hearing portion. And I would consider a motion for the first of three portions, the rezoning portion.
Chair,
Yes,
I'd move to approve RZ 03259502 Blue Springs High School.
I have a motion. How about a second?
Second.
Second. Tracy, how about a roll call, please?
You got it. Commissioner Smith,
Aye.
Commissioner Sanderson,
Aye.
Commissioner Cradoff,
Aye.
Commissioner Graham,
Aye.
Commissioner Howe,
Aye.
Commissioner Ingersoll,
Aye.
Commissioner Pumphrey,
Aye.
Commissioner Stokenberry,
Aye.
Chairperson Henning.
Aye.
Perfect.
Passes, and this item will be recommended and heard by the City Council at their meeting on Monday, April 21st. I would now ask for motion on the second of three parts, the preliminary plat portion of this project.
Chair,
Yes.
I'd move to approve PP 03259503 Blue Springs High School with the staff conditions.
Thank you. I have a motion. How about a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. And the third and final part, the final plat portion of this project.
Chair,
Yes.
I'd move to approve final plat PF 03259504 for Blue Springs High School with the staff conditions.
I have a motion. A second?
Second.
I have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. That passes, and that was with one staff condition on that one. I will now open the public hearing for agenda items number 3 and 4, General Development Plan, GDP 03259506, and Conditional Use Permit, CUP 03259507, for asphaltic surfaces. I will ask for exhibits from our city attorney, Josh Newell.
The city would like to enter exhibits 1 through 8.
Thank you, Josh. All those present that would like to speak about this project or in favor of or in opposition to, please rise and be sworn in.
Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in this case to be the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you. Understand Mr. Willis is at the podium, ready to talk to us about this project.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
All right, Christopher Willis, 903 West Main Street, on behalf of the city. Before you this evening is a request for approval of a general development plan for asphaltic services. The subject property is addressed 1050 Southwest Cemetery Road and consists of 2.18 acres. The applicant is also requesting a conditional use permit to operate their asphalt paving contractor business which has a building or construction contractor land use. The proposed storage of an above-ground fuel tank is an accessory use and is included in the scope of the general development plan. The fuel tank will need to be permitted separately. As far as future applications, the general development plan and the conditional use permit will be reviewed individually as this first application. Preliminary plat, a site plan and design review, and a final plat are required to be approved as well. And the final plat recorded at Jackson County prior to issuance of building permits will all be required. And let's take a look at the zoning. The subject property is in the general business zoning district, and the proposed land use of building or construction contractor with the machinery and equipment requires approval of a conditional use permit to be allowed within the general business zoning district. Zoom out a little bit. All right, here's the site plan for the project. And the proposed development is classified as a general industrial, which is defined as a building designed to accommodate light industrial and general industrial functions at a variety of scales. The development proposes an ingress and egress point from Southwest Cemetery Road, right over here. Both an ingress and egress right there. And no new sidewalk will be constructed as part of the scope of this project. For the proposed use, the applicant has required approximately 8 parking spaces. However, the applicant is providing 14 regular parking spaces and 1 ADA space as well. And all parking stalls meet the minimum size requirements. As I mentioned earlier, there will be a site plan and design review application to come at a later date, and bicycle parking will be reviewed at that time. MoDOT will require off-site improvements in the form of an additional eastbound left turn lane on US 40. While this is not shown on the site plan at this time, we will have this shown on the site plan and design review and the other applications to come later. MoDOT has requested so the scope of this project, let me say, did not require a full traffic impact study. MoDOT has requested the applicant to provide a memorandum instead, which requires a site plan, traffic counts, turn lane charts, trip generation tables, and other requirements. Regarding sanitary sewer, it's located both on the southern and eastern portions of the lot, and there is a proposed 15-foot sanitary sewer easement that runs along the southern property and then extends all the way to the east. So that's where this proposed 15-foot sanitary sewer easement will be located. Now let's take a look at the landscaping. All right. The applicant has provided a conceptual landscaping plan for the site, being provided for concept purposes only. It will be fleshed out later at the site plan and design review. But at that time, additional details and plant units may be needed or required to meet landscape requirements. But let me just go over this plan with you for a little bit. The south buffer over here along eastbound 40, the applicant is providing 88 plant units. The east buffer running along here, the applicant's providing 178 plant units. The northern buffer, 145 plant units. And lastly, the west buffer, 72 plant units. And there's parking lot landscaping proposed as well. And I think we might be able to get a better look on it on page 50. Well, about the same. But anyway, there are parking lot landscaping proposed as well. And here are the elevations. Obviously there's the floor plan, but just below are the elevations. The site includes a 2-story building. The proposed building will have a combination of stone and white metal panels. The buildings and site design are required to meet the non-residential design standards of the UDC. And final building and site design will be reviewed through the site plan and review design process to come with the ensuing applications. And as you see, there's a sign proposed. All signs that meet sign code will be reviewed administratively and must follow the appropriate permitting process. I just want to revert back to the site plan for a second. All right. And I just want to go over some of the modifications that are requested by way of alternative development standards. So the first one would be a deviation to allow the overnight parking of company vehicles in the front or street side area of the building. As a proposed business is construction contractor by trade, they will of course have vehicles they'll need to store. So this will be through this area right here, staff parking and customer parking right here, and storage up here. There is a second deviation being proposed to allow a front or street facing building facade with overhead doors to face an arterial or collector street. As you see, the overhead doors will be here, which faces the frontage. And lastly, I mentioned earlier in the presentation about an above ground fuel tank. This is proposed to be stored up here on this concrete pad, and a deviation has been requested to allow the proposed storage of the fuel tank within the front or side yard setback, and obviously this is way out in front of the primary structure. Lastly, I just want to go over the conditional use portion and the special use standards of the conditional use portion of this application. The applicant is requesting an alternative development standard to allow a front and street facing facade with overhead doors facing an arterial or a collector. The applicant is requesting an alternative development standard to have the company vehicles and equipment, as I mentioned, and that's been requested. Deviation's been requested through the general development plan. And staff does not believe that the allowance of overnight parking or vehicles in the front or street side of the building will have a negative impact on the public realm, as adjacent properties with light industrial land uses have company vehicles that are also parked overnight today. The CUP will allow for the entire site, 1050 Southwest Cemetery Road, to be used by the building or construction contractor land use as approved by the CUP, and will be in conformance with the UDC, and it supports existing zoning of the property and abutting districts. And the proposed use is industrial in nature, which is in alignment with existing uses of the neighboring properties. Staff does not impact negative impacts on the adjacent properties. And lastly, staff recommends the approval of the CUP with 3 conditions and the general development plan with 5 conditions, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
Questions for staff?
Yes,
You
sir.
said they're gonna build a turn lane on the westbound?
Eastbound.
Eastbound, what about westbound?
That was not indicated in any of the correspondence we received between the applicant and MoDOT, but perhaps the engineer on the project could maybe shed light on if that was discussed.
Okay. So I get on this road every day.
Sure.
I live in this neighborhood.
Okay.
And my concern is trucks turning onto westbound 40 highway. It's gonna stop traffic up pretty bad. I don't know if you've been there at 6:30 in the morning on a Tuesday, but the light already gets backed up, and then when Blue Springs Beam has a semi unloading, they block half the 40 highway for 10, 15 minutes a lot of times.
Okay.
So that's my concern right there.
So maybe a
With the-
similar.
Yeah, obviously they're not gonna have 18-wheelers running through there, but they're big asphalt trucks.
Okay.
Sometimes turning westbound, you'll sit there for 10, 15 minutes because traffic's going and no one can turn left. So
Sure.
I'm not sure no traffic study is a good idea there.
The city, because it's all MoDOT right away,
Mhm.
especially the eastbound and westbound lanes of 40 highway, any kind of traffic studies would be purely in the hands of MoDOT. The city wouldn't have a requirement for that. The city would have a requirement potentially for a traffic study onto Cemetery Road. But the last time that this property went through the development process for Silverline Trucking, it was determined that there just wasn't going to be enough vehicles going out on the cemetery to cause the need for a traffic study. But any kind of, I believe Chris was right, that maybe the engineer could provide some more insight as to their communications with MoDOT and any discussion of about a westbound turn lane or any kind of other improvements to westbound.
Mr. Mallon, what type of trucks will be refueling at that, coming off Cemetery Road?
I think the applicant can answer that a little bit better than I can, but I believe it's trucks used in the laying of asphalt, dump trucks and other equipment like that. The applicant has indicated they do not plan to store any materials on site, so any asphalt or rock or anything like that, any raw materials, that it's purely for offices working on their vehicles and the storage of vehicles and equipment. But I think the applicant would be able to answer that a little bit better about what specific kinds of trucks.
Anybody else? So to clarify, before we get to the applicant and MoDOT, or has MoDOT required the turn lane on the eastbound?
MoDOT has required that per their memo. So when they decided that it wasn't going to be necessary for a full traffic impact study, that was essentially part of the requirement of the memorandum that they've asked the applicant to provide to them.
Okay.
So it's kind of part, but it's almost a separate within the other requirements.
And that was the same requirement for the previous Silverline trucking
Okay.
development.
And one more question before we get to the applicant. It does feel like to me, driving by the area this weekend, that it very much so is the proper placing for this type of business. I'm always hesitant on big deviations, especially when we make other businesses comply to park their vehicles in the back. And here we're being asked to allow them to park in the front and the side. Is there any kind of governing rule in here that if it's out of hand, or how do we're starting to go down that slippery slope of allowing a significant deviation? That's how I view this. And how could we help govern it if it gets out of hand in the future? Is there a way?
Any kind of attempt to do that would be best handled through a condition of approval
Okay.
of the general development plan.
Okay.
And I don't know what the correct answer is.
Okay.
Whether it's, and maybe after hearing the applicant's presentation and what kind of vehicles and how much equipment that they plan to have out there, a condition of approval could be made by a planning commissioner that states, it is only for vehicles and, certain square footage of equipment, and if that starts to get too large, and dominate the entire part of the site, I don't know what a reasonable square footage would be, and staff would have a similar concern, is that we don't want this to turn into the Silverline trucking business, where all it was equipment and unsightly equipment at that, because the property sits down kind of in a valley between the two highway or lanes of the highway, so it's really difficult to screen it all, even with fencing and landscaping. But it's a valid concern that hopefully the applicant or their engineer can address.
Thank you. We'll get to them in 1 second. One more question. Didn't we have a project come through here sometime last year in which we allotted the applicant a 1-year conditional use permit, and if things got out of hand, they had to go back and reapply for it, and we could, do you remember, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I think that was actually maybe on the same property.
Really?
Yeah, because Silverline had that same problem. They, or not issue, but we had that same concern that it was just going to turn into a storage yard, or actually in their case, continue to be a storage yard, and that they'd actually never get around to building the building, especially with the Silverline business. Staff doesn't have the same concern with this, given that the applicants have shown a very strong desire to build a building and grow their business in Blue Springs, but it was on the same property. And we did have a condition that they had to actually get a building up within a year, or their conditional use permit would lapse and they wouldn't be able to store any more vehicles or equipment.
And again, we'll get to them. They're asking to have vehicles there during construction before they take occupancy?
Yes, as part of their conditional use permit and general development plan request, they have requested to be allowed to temporarily store vehicles and equipment on the site while they're doing their construction, because of their need to consolidate some of their properties that they own elsewhere to have their vehicles on this site. Staff has put a condition, is that in the conditional use permit or
Yeah.
the general development plan?
Let me double check the staff report. Okay. I believe it's one up here, so.
I believe it's in the.
Yeah, so it's the third condition of the conditional use permit.
That basically says that they're allowed to temporarily store vehicles and equipment on the site, provided that they receive a certificate of occupancy for the building that they're planning to build within
Okay.
1 year of the date of the conditional use permit approval.
All right.
I got one.
Yes.
Is there anything in there that keeps somebody from living on this property? And I say that because Silverline had the 2 RVs and they had the guys that lived there for about a year.
Yes. There is nothing in the code that allows for temporary residential uses on a property that's zoned for commercial, and there's nothing that allows for it without a mixed-use building type, which this is not. The only part of the code that allows for temporary residences is if somebody is living in a camper or RV while they're building a home on a certain size property. But no, there would not be any allowances for people living on the site.
Okay.
Any other questions before I know we're all eagerly anticipating the applicant, but any other questions beforehand? Assuming you guys have been sworn in, come on up, and talk to us. Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening. Patrick Joyce with Kimley Horn, 436 Northeast Brockton Drive in Lee Summit, Missouri. I'm a civil engineer for the project. Also with me is the owner, Jake Robbins. So, so I think Christopher did a great job describing the project to you. So I'll maybe kind of jump into some of your questions. If that's what we want to do. I think I heard one of the big ones was the traffic study and the coordination with MoDOT. So when we first approached MoDOT for this, we first started looking at how much we were really going to generate in terms of traffic, which were actually pretty low. Their concerns were more for the vehicles, the large vehicles and stuff, turning out kind of like what you're saying. So it came to light through coordination with MoDOT that there was a previous traffic study done for a similar use that actually was a lower generator but similar type vehicles. And what they told me was that basically at the westbound and White Cemetery, there was a traffic signal warranted there today before we even get in there. So MoDOT is aware of an issue there, I guess you might say. So also in that traffic study was what came out of that was a left turn lane on the eastbound. And so MoDOT, recognizing that they have an existing problem today, basically gave us the trade-off that if we go ahead and build the left turn lane, then that would satisfy their requirements. So that's what we agreed to do there. So.
Could you repeat that one more time? The westbound is where the stop light
Yes.
should be, and the eastbound is where the turn lane.
Correct.
That's two.
Like
Correct.
they are going to put a stoplight there, or
No,
that was part of the compromise?
Yeah, I don't have any of the information on when MoDOT is going to put a traffic study. They're only aware that a traffic light. They only are aware that it needs one right now, based on that study. So that's where that's sitting. And also as part of that, we're surveying the that intersection right now where we're planning to put the left turn lane. So there's also a hill and some potential sight distance things that we're going to be clearing out of that as part of that too. So, what other questions do you have that?
What types of vehicles are
Yeah.
in the business?
Yeah. So basically it's dump trucks and a lowboy are your big ones. They just have one really of each. And those are going to be parked in the back. And sorry, that reminds me one quick correction too, to just something that Chris said that I just wanted to point out.
on the elevation, the front of the building does not have any overhead doors. Those are actually on the north side. So just want to point that out. Those are actually landscape beds, so that'll look good out front from White Cemetery. And then I think I heard someone talk about what materials and things are going to be stored on the site. They don't actually make the asphalt there. It's just the equipment. So they're not storing rock and stuff like that on the site.
So we're not talking 10 to 20 dump trucks running in and out of there every day then?
No, and maybe Jake can answer a little bit more of that, but my understanding is they're leaving early in the morning and they don't come back till about 6. I mean, that's their general business operation.
So what's the frequency, like you mentioned, of the trips, and how many trucks at a time can we expect?
Well, it's just, so it would be basically, 6 in the morning is when you said, I think most people.
Yeah, basically I have 7 dump trucks and low boy, so like they don't come and go. Like they'll leave in the morning, like they're hired out through other companies, and then they come back when if they come back at 3, they're coming back and they're staying. Like they won't come and go at all. Like I said, like right now we do 6 or 7 in the morning and they get back around 5. Like there's no coming and going. Like they'll leave in the morning, come at night, and that's it. Unless we have one like we gotta work on in the shop. And then what he was saying earlier is that there'll be no cars parked in the front overnight. That's basically where staff will park, like office girls and salesmen. Like when we leave at night, nobody will be parked in the front lot. And I plan on having a fence at the edge of the building come back to the front so you can access the main lot to the front of the building freely. Everything else will be blocked off. But as for those trucks that won't be outside, there's 3 other trucks, but they'll be parked in the 3 garage bays every night because they have tools and so nothing gets stolen off.
So to your point, we won't have multiple trucks coming at the same time on Cemetery Road, maybe 4 or 5 trucks at one time.
Yeah, like leaving or coming home, but yeah, you won't see them. They don't run in and out all day. Like I said, we just lay the product. So like we're doing the Blue Springs Career Innovation Center, we're the one doing the asphalt on that. So all we do is lay it. We buy the materials from like Fakey Construction and stuff. We're pretty much exactly like tandem. I mean, the trucks are there and that's it. We don't have, like I said, there's no material being on site at all.
So you mentioned a dump truck and some other kind of truck that will always be parked out around back?
Yeah, low boy.
What's a low boy? Educate.
It's a long trailer that has
Hauls equipment on.
Yeah, hauls equipment. It's the one that you see that has the low bed. I think that's where it gets its name,
It's
so you
got
can
a
get on and
paver,
off. Yeah.
A paver roller and loader.
Okay.
So like
Yeah.
when we leave in the morning, it goes
Bobcats.
to the job, and they don't come back and forth. It goes to job sets there till
Okay. So what kind of vehicles and roughly how many vehicles are in your inventory that will be parked, from what I'm hearing you say, on the side of the building? Because you're saying none of them will park in the front.
Right. The only things parked in the front will be our regular passenger vehicles that we drive every day.
Sure.
And then on the side, it's just gonna be dump trucks and low boy. Cause I have 3 tool trucks, but like I said, they park inside because they're like utility trucks. So I don't leave them outside so somebody can't break in and steal stuff. So they park inside every single night. So like at night wise, it should just be the dump trucks and low boy. Like nobody's staying there overnight. There's any small trucks don't stay outside because we have room inside that shop. So basically like we're renting space and flex space where we park 2 of them inside at night, every night inside these garages.
So the dump truck and low boy will be parked
Outside.
on the side or in the rear?
Well, probably we were planning on basically utilizing the rear of it where the trees are gonna go on that basically the far east side, parking toward the back right there. So they'll be a little bit exposed, obviously on the north side, cause like he said, it's kind of down in the valley, you can see, but they'll all be parked basically on the east side of the building on the back.
I think the apprehension you're saying is the previous tenant that was there really did a poor job of maintaining the property and just left stuff laying around all the time along with people living there. And I think that's gonna be a huge concern. Or that is the concern. That's why you're getting so many questions on this.
I understand.
So you think what, 6 to 10 dump trucks and then low boy that?
We have 7 dump trucks.
Okay.
And then a local.
So what are the hours, and will it, at some point in the evening, will it be closed off?
The property?
Yes.
Well, yeah, sometimes we do work late nights, it's asphalt, so, you know, we gotta get it in while the weather's good, cause, you know, we don't work between December and, you know, March pretty much, and so those trucks will just be sitting there. I mean, in the wintertime, we actually stuff everything we can inside the shop to keep it out of the elements. I mean, we'll put the dump trucks and all the equipment stuffed in there overnight, and we just, you know, try to, it's expensive stuff, so we try to keep it out of the elements during the wintertime. So, I mean, you know, most of the time, you know, we'll roll out between 6 and 7, and, you know, hopefully back at 5 or 6 at night, but sometimes it's, you know, as you know, you work late nights, sometimes we don't get done till 8 or 9. It's not usual like that, but, you know, you can guarantee that it's gonna be, you know, we'll be out by 6 or 7 in the morning, back by like 6 or 7 at night.
So your property will be locked up afterwards?
Yeah, and it's fenced in now. Our plan with the fence was to do the nice white slats, you know, not the felt that the neighbors have to us, but basically the nice white slats and the whole thing. It's fenced in. You know, we're gonna, you know, our plan was to put a gate operator so it shuts automatically after so long of being open, just to keep, you know, anybody from going in there and stuff like that.
So are you, is your company concerned about the lighting in that area? Have you made any decisions whether you want to improve that?
Yeah, we're definitely gonna, I mean, there'll be lights on the building, like shining on the parking lot, and we were planning on having 2 more, you know, on the edge of the parking lot on the northeast and the northwest side, which was on some of the plans. You guys don't have those since we did them, but they, but basically, yeah, we were gonna light it up. I mean, the lights that I had at my old property that I was renting, you know, they were like, obviously really bright, but when there was no motion, they dimmed about 50%, and then if it picked up motion, it really lit up, you know, just to keep, you know, keep people honest.
Yeah, we've had some vandalism and some businesses near that area, so it'd be nice to have some lighting. So
Yeah, we'll
it's probably a
definitely
good
light it up.
idea.
Any other questions before we hear from the audience? Anything else from the applicant?
No, thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak in favor of this project? Seeing none, is there anybody in the audience that would like to speak in opposition to this project? I see none. The public comment section of this public hearing is over. Anything else from staff before we move on this one?
Yeah, I would just like to clarify the alternative development standards requests. Based upon the code, it says no front or street-facing building facade facing an arterial or collector shall have overhead doors. So, unfortunately, this property has 3 street frontages, so they have to request that as a alternative development standard. Staff supports it. And then all storage of trailers, company vehicles, or other similar products may not be located within the required front or street side setback in the GB zoning district. So because that is a street side setback, even though there'll be plenty of landscaping and screening with a fence, they still need to ask for that deviation, which staff supports. It is a difficult site to develop with 3 frontages essentially, you know, as the site sits. So that's why staff is in support of those.
Mr. Mellon, can you explain how long I think you mentioned something about MoDOT had a study about some lights there. How long has that been going on? Do you know anything about that?
I don't know anything about the MoDOT study for lights. Typically, site lighting is reviewed at the site plan design review phase and or with the building permit. We would have to be careful on this site to make sure that all lighting is cut off at 90 degrees and not floodlights coming out from a building or floodlights coming from a light in the parking lot, to make sure that it's not shining out onto any of the adjacent roadways and causing a visual distraction to the drivers on 40 Highway.
Commissioner, were you referencing the traffic light or the light on the parking?
Oh, I apologize. Yeah, are we referencing the traffic light?
Yes.
Oh, I apologize. Sorry. I have read the same memo, and MoDOT essentially said that they're aware that a traffic signal is needed for this site as of today without it ever being developed. And that is a cost that MoDOT is going to have to incur, given that all 3 corners or all the remaining 3 corners of it are all basically developed with a church, a cemetery, and an existing monument sign or headstone business. And so I believe MoDOT trying to put that burden on one developer when the need is already there. They weighed that with the need for a right turn lane and how much burden they wanted to put on one property to solve some traffic problems in the area. And so they chose that the left turn lane onto Cemetery Road from eastbound 40 Highway was the most important improvement that they saw was justified for this property to put in.
There's been several accidents right there from people
Oh, yeah.
turning and.
Absolutely.
Can you give us, for me, the deviation of allowing commercial vehicles is significant. Can you give us a few examples of times in the past when the deviation has been requested,
Yep.
and approved or denied, so that we can have some kind of idea about, I hate,
Pretty much every business that's on 40 Highway going westbound. If you,
I wasn't talking to you. Sorry.
A number of the conditional use permits we've done for construction contractors and building construction contractor land uses, especially in redevelopment sites such as this, have made that request. PS Property Services just up here on 10th Street, 10th and Vesper, made that same request, as well as to have the overhead doors facing the street, because they park their company vans out front. I believe it's a home cleaning business or something similar down on South Avenue, right at the intersection of 7th and South, next to Liquor House, made the same request. And I believe Fine Restoration over just further down west on 40 Highway was the first general or construction contractor business after we changed the code to allow them in general business with a conditional use permit. And they made that request along with also having the overhead doors facing a collector street. So it is pretty common, and what staff looks to when making a recommendation on those alternative development standards for those is the site, the potential for other places to park vehicles that aren't in the front or on a street side. And in each of those locations, given the layout of the building, where the building is set pretty much an existing building, or as in this case, the property would be very tough to develop without doing that, because there are 3 frontages and only 1 rear, and that rear property line to the east is pretty encumbered by easements, and there's a pretty steep grade as you go from the asphalt down into this kind of drainage way there, and so it would be difficult for this owner or operator to park the vehicles or store equipment in any place on the site that's not visible from the street.
I have a question about landscaping. There's a lot of plant units, and I noticed a significant amount, if you could pull up that screen.
Yes, sir.
The landscaping, I noticed an abundance of landscaping on the rear portion, and this property abuts property that MoDOT uses or leases or owns?
Is to the east.
Yes.
That is Lantel.
Okay.
Cable.
So my
underground
question.
cable business.
Okay. How beneficial are those plant units, being that it's a commercial industrial business that backs up to a commercial industrial business? Would it not be a better deal for the citizens of Blue Springs if those plant units were shoved out to the side to increase beautification of all the citizens that are going to be going east and west on 40 Highway? None of them are going to benefit from anything on the rear. Talk to us about that.
I think that's a valid point and something we can look into with this is like Chris said, this is just conceptual at this point. But as we work towards the site plan design review and we finalize the location,
okay.
I do think some vegetation on the east side will help with stormwater runoff down into that drainage way and make that, rather than just grass, it will help, soak up some of that runoff. But I also think that, given the the topography, any kind of landscaping that will help eventually screen the property is gonna take another 15, 20 years to grow. But we can work with the developer and the owner to maybe reallocate some of those plant units to the north, to the kind of northwest along that diagonal, and potentially to the south and then south of the drive entrance. So.
Thank you. Well, we've bounced around a little bit here. So anything else from the applicant based upon anything you've heard? Yes, please stand up.
So our plan is to, basically, all the people, the architect, the engineer, they're literally just set and tight to wait to meet with you guys and hopefully city council next week. And our plan is to keep on moving forward. I mean, we've already got the building kind of set and, with the deposit on it, with everything going up. So they're set and tight. So we're literally just waiting for your guys' approval in city council, and then we're gonna keep moving forward. So there's not like, giving us the conditional use permit, we're not gonna be like, just set and tight and then wait for a while. Like, I'm renting space from Flex Space. I had a space in Independence, and I'm also paying on that land. So we're just trying, we're as we get approval from you guys, we're gonna move forward. So it's not gonna be no downtime at all in building this building. We're gonna be right with it. So like I said, he's working on the drawings, and we're just kind of sitting there to wait for approval from you guys and city council. And then obviously I gotta pay them a chunk of money to keep moving forward, but our plan is not to stop, it's to keep moving forward and get the building and keep going.
Thank you. Anything else?
I don't have anything. Thank you.
Anything else up here? All right, I will close the public hearing. I will bring it back up here for any further discussion and or motion.
Chair,
Yes.
I move to approve General Development Plan GDP 03259506 with the 5 stash conditions for asphaltic surfaces.
Have a motion. How about a second?
Second.
A roll call, please, Tracy.
Yes. Commissioner Sanderson?
Aye.
Commissioner Cradoff?
Aye.
Commissioner Graham?
Aye.
Commissioner Howell?
Aye.
Commissioner Ingersoll?
Aye.
Commissioner Pumphrey?
Aye.
Commissioner Stokenberry?
Aye.
Commissioner Smith?
Aye.
Chairperson Henning?
Aye.
All ayes.
This item will be recommended and heard by the city council, their next meeting on April 21st. I will now ask for a motion on the general development plan portion.
I'm sorry.
Chair. I move to approve GDP 03259506 with the staff conditions.
I have a motion. How about a second?
Second.
Tracy, again, roll call, please.
You got it. Commissioner Cradoff?
Aye.
Commissioner Graham?
Aye.
Commissioner Howell?
Aye.
Commissioner Ingersoll?
Aye.
Commissioner Pumphrey?
Aye.
Commissioner Stokenberry?
Aye.
Commissioner Smith?
Aye.
Commissioner Sanderson?
Aye.
Chairperson Henning?
Aye.
All
That
ayes.
motion passes and will be heard by the city council on their Monday, April 21st, 2025 meeting. I have chosen to recuse myself from the next applicant being due to our proximity in the real estate business and building. So I'll turn this one over to Vice Chair Howe, and we'll return.
Thank you, Chair. Next, I will open the public hearing for item 5, conditional use permit CUP 03259505 for 500 RD Mize offices. I will ask for exhibits from our city attorney, Josh Newell.
The city would like to enter exhibits 1 through 8.
Thank you. All those who wish to speak, please stand to be sworn in as a group.
Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in this case will be the truth, so help you God?
I did.
I do.
Thank you. At this time, I will ask for a staff presentation. Mr. Willis?
Yep. Christopher Willis, Associate Planner. Before you this evening is a request for approval of a conditional use permit to operate a construction real estate business with the land use of building or construction contractor. The company is Clifton RE LLC, and they are located at 500 Northwest RD Mize, which is also the location of the project that we are going with right now. And the city's UDC provides special use standards for this land use classification. These will have to be met as a part of the CUP process along with the approved CUP. And again, the construction contractor land use is a conditional use within the general business zoning district. I'll show you a quick zoning map that's located, and it's GB. We'll move on to the site plan. All right, so Clifton Homes is a construction real estate company that provides services such as HVAC, electrical, plumbing, and general contracting. This property will be a general place of business where daily administrative duties will take place, along with accounting, showrooms, meetings, and other office tasks. The applicant stated that this time, no materials, equipment, supplies, or tools will be housed at this location. However, for future uses, there may be an additional unit built to store office material, but not at this time. The applicant has stated that no expansion of the building or expansion of the site is currently proposed. The existing commercial building has a tan brick exterior facade with a blue metal roof, and all of this will remain as is, and no changes are proposed to the form of the building, or again, as I said, any site expansion. The site has two existing access points, one along RD Mize and another along 5th Street down here. And the one along 5th Street provides access to the northern parking area for the site. There is existing sidewalk that provides access to the northern parking area. And then given the current CUP request is not proposing to modify the existing developed site, the construction of additional sidewalk will not be required. The applicant has provided 28 spaces on the existing site, and they were only required to have 16 spaces per the requirements of the land use. The applicant has stated that, again, no modifications or expansion to the site or building will occur. And in regards to the conditional use permit and the special use standards, the applicant has met all regulations related to the special use standards for the building and contractor land uses, and no deviations were requested through alternative design standards. This is an overall summary. This is for approval for the business to be able to execute the land use that requires a conditional use permit within the GB zoning district. And staff recommends approval of a conditional use permit application with 2 conditions. I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you, Mr. Willis. We'll bring it back up here to the council. Any questions for staff? All right, hearing none, I would ask for the applicant. Would you like to make any comments? And again, if you could state your name and address, please.
Rob Clifton, 36 Inn Street, Lake Lotawana. I don't know what to say. It's submitted for approval. We're not like, we're more of a investment real estate general contractor. We self-perform. I own my own, plumbing company, electrical company, excavation, but all my equipment and tools, trailers, supplies are all at my facility at Truman and 435. So we don't have anything other than we don't have anything that we store there or anything. So it's just really expansion of our office because we office next door. So, and we will have a big conference room in this one, and that's what the street facing part really is for our investors to come in. They fly into town, meet us, and we got showroom kind of in there a little bit. Well, when we finish it, we haven't finished it. So that's it.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Any questions? Okay.
Thank you very much. I will ask if there's anyone in the audience that would like to speak in favor of this project. Seeing none, is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak in opposition of this project? Seeing none? Oh, I apologize. Yes, sir. Could you please speak up?
Okay. Yeah, my name's Gary Simmons. I live on 411 Wilmington Drive, which is in the Vespers. And I don't know that I'm objecting to it, I just want to get a better, clearer understanding of what the facility will be used. I know the gentleman's in construction, real estate development, and I want to be assured that we're not going to have construction trucks and big equipment like that there or stored there. Is it just a showroom and an office facility? Okay.
You'll see my supervisor trucks and stuff come in and out.
Okay.
But not like anything more than what we have now.
Okay.
Like you see our guys pull up.
Well, I haven't seen anybody there in quite some time. Your windows are covered in paper,
I'm
so.
next door. So all the we parked in there now.
You're next, oh, you're in that building right next door? Oh, okay. Well, see, we just got this information. We didn't quite understand exactly what it was, so.
Just like that. Just what you
Okay,
see now.
okay, fine. Thank you.
We already parked there.
Thank you.
All right, thank you for those comments. Any other comments from the audience?
Okay.
All right, I will consider the public comment section of this public hearing over. Is there any further discussion or comments from staff?
No, sir.
All right, sir, thank you. Any other further discussion from the applicant? I'll give it a second. Sir, would you have any further comments at all?
No.
Okay, thank you very much. And any discussion from the commission? All right, seeing none, I will close the public hearing. I will ask for a motion on the conditional use permit.
Chair,
Yes, sir.
I would move to approve conditional use permit CUP-02-25-984 for 500 Artie Mize offices with any staff conditions.
Thank you, Commissioner. Do I have a second?
Second.
This will be a roll call. Tracy, please.
Commissioner Graham?
Aye.
Commissioner Ingersoll?
Aye.
Commissioner Pumphrey?
Aye.
Commissioner Stokenberry?
Aye.
Commissioner Smith?
Aye.
Commissioner Sanderson?
Aye.
Commissioner Cradoff?
Aye.
Alright, and Chairperson Hunt?
Aye. This motion carried. The item will be recommended and heard by the City Council at their Monday, April 7th, 2025 meeting at 6 p.m. Thank you. Should we move on?
We can go get him.
I can go get him.
That would be
Alright.
great, thank you.
Chair, we are ready for items 6 and 9.
Thank you very much. Moving on to item number 6 and 9, I will open the public hearing, which will be the vacation VAC 03259508 and final plat PF 03259509 for Hy-Vee third plat. I will ask for exhibits from our city attorney, Josh Newell.
The city would like to enter exhibits 1 through 8.
Thank you, Josh. Anybody here that would like to speak about this project in favor or against, please be sworn in.
You sound swear the testimony you're about to give in this case will be the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Mr. Willis.
All right. Christopher Willis. Before you this evening is a request for approval of a final plat for a proposed subdivision of the existing Hy-Vee parcels to create 3 separate lots on an 8.86 acre property. The applicant is also requesting approval to vacate a water main easement generally located at 625 Southwest 40 Highway. The existing water main easement is proposed to be vacated from Lot 2, and a new 15-foot public water easement will be dedicated with the proposed third plat. All right. The property has general business zoning, and the existing land use is supermarket, which is allowed by right, and GB. There is also an existing land use of service station automotive, which is allowed as a conditional use in GB. With that being said, a conditional use to allow said use was approved on April 9th, 2012 by the Planning Commission. Let's go a little more here. All right. So the proposed subdivision of the property into 3 separate lots will not affect the existing parking on site. The site already has adequate parking for both the supermarket use and the service station automotive land uses. The existing site has 3 existing access points. One right here on the west side of the property off Highway 7. One in the southwest corner, and then one here as well. So there's 2 off of Highway 40. There is an existing sidewalk along the western portion of the property where there was a previously granted easement for a public sidewalk. As the site is already developed, existing stormwater management systems are in place. However, given that the existing Hy-Vee parcels are proposed to be subdivided into 3 lots, a private 10-foot drainage easement by separate instrument has been proposed to give service from the proposed lot 3A to the proposed lot 2A and 1A, as you can see here on the site plan. All right, and then a proposed 20-foot public sanitary sewer easement is being proposed on the west side of the property to give access from 3A to the proposed lot 1A. The plan is compatible with the preliminary plat PP 310-2541 that was approved on July 26, 2010, while the proposed Blue Springs Hy-Vee third plat is proposing to subdivide 2 existing parcels into 3 separate lots. No other side elements will be affected. And I just wanted to go over, obviously there's existing easements that have been carried over from the second plat to the third plat. But there's this private drainage easement by separate instrument being proposed. There's a public sewer easement being proposed on the west side to grant utilities to lot 1A. There's of course an private access agreement that's going to allow access throughout the site right here. And then there's the water easement to be vacated through here, and then the new water easement being dedicated with this plat. So I think that covers everything. And on to the vacation. We don't need the... All right, so the applicant's proposing a new public water easement through the proposed final plat, Hy-Vee third plat. Due to the new water easement being dedicated, staff does not anticipate a public loss as the new easement will surround all necessary water line infrastructure. The private rights of the adjacent property owners will not be impacted by the proposed vacation. A portion of the existing 15-foot public water easement is proposed to be vacated. Another portion of the existing 15-foot public water easement will remain, and a new 15-foot public water easement will be dedicated via the proposed Hy-Vee third plat. There will also be a portion of a 15-foot private water easement to be dedicated above the existing water easement. And this will ensure that the proposed public and private water easements will surround all necessary water line infrastructure. The vacation is consistent with the intent and design objectives of the subdivision design standards. A portion of the existing public water easement will be vacated, and both a public and private water easement will be dedicated via the plat, as again to ensure all infrastructure is accounted for. The vacation reflects sound planning and urban design principles. Staff does not believe there will be an impact to current and future streets, open spaces, blocks, lots, and public utilities and facilities. A new public water easement will be dedicated with the third plat. The application meets the public interest as it proposes to vacate an existing public water easement while dedicating a new public water easement via the plat. And as you can see, here's the portion of the water easement that will be vacated. And then here is the proposed public water line easement. So that just kind of shows you the amount of area that's going away and then being proposed. Lastly, staff recommends approval of the final plat application with the 5 conditions, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
What instigated the need for this? It seems like another project, a cleanup?
I think the applicant
Okay.
or their consultant may be able to provide the best answer for that.
Okay.
It was our
Any other
understanding
questions
of
for staff before we hear from the applicant?
I do. So, right now, that lot is 3 plats right now,
Let's go back.
or it's 2 and they want to make it into a 3rd?
Yes,
right
2
now
parcels.
it's all one lot, right?
One lot, okay.
Yeah. 1 lot currently.
And they want to split it into the 3 then?
Yes.
Yeah, it's just there was that one parcel at the southwest corner that's an unplatted lot. So that's where it's the 2 parcels, but they're going to be creating 3 lots out of the current lot and the one unplatted parcel at the southwest corner.
And this might be a question for the applicant, but what's the driving force between splitting 1 into 3, especially when 1 has nothing on it right
I
now?
think that would be best suited
Yeah.
for the applicant to answer.
Anything else for staff before we hear from the applicant? Would the applicant like to speak?
Good evening, I'm Brad Sonner with Olson. Address is 7301 West 133rd Street, Overland Park, Kansas. We're the surveying consultant for Hy-Vee. Regarding the question, that they're doing this at other Hy-Vee locations that we're assisting them with, and they consider their gas station a separate business unit. They're trying to get those platted separately. That's the best it's been explained to me. I think that outlot, if I recall through the history of this site, at one time that was proposed to be an outlot, then it wasn't, and now it's being proposed as an outlot. I think they feel they have sufficient parking for the food store, and so that's maybe a potential. They've certainly not shared any plans for development of that lot with me now, but the plat would obviously set that up in the future. So other than that, we're good with the conditions, and I'll stand for any other questions.
Seeing none, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Anybody in the audience that would like to speak in opposition? Anybody that would like to speak in favor of? I will close the public comment section of this public hearing. Anything else from staff?
No, sir.
Nothing else from the applicant? And how about up here? I would entertain a motion.
Chair,
Yes.
I move to approve VAC 03259508 Hy-Vee 3rd plat at 625 Southwest 40 Highway.
I have a motion. How about a second?
Second.
Second. Tracy, can I get a roll call, please?
Yes.
Oh, I forgot to close the public hearing earlier. Public hearing's closed.
It's
All right,
official.
roll call, please.
All right. Commissioner Howe,
Aye.
Commissioner Ingersoll,
Aye.
Commissioner Pumphrey,
Aye.
Commissioner Stokenberry,
Aye.
Commissioner Smith,
Aye.
Commissioner Sanderson,
Aye.
Commissioner Cradoff,
Aye.
Commissioner Graham,
Aye.
Chairperson Henning.
Aye.
Okay.
All right, that passes. Moving on, how about a report?
All right.
This is for March?
No, we still have the final
Talk
plat.
March.
Oh, final plat.
Oh,
I stand,
Chair, I'll make a motion.
yes, thank you, please.
I move to approve the final plat PF 03259509 for Hy-Vee 3rd plat with 5 conditions. Or 5 there? 5 with conditions.
I have a motion. How about a second?
Second.
A second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that passes also. Thank you, and now we're ready for a monthly report.
all right. Let's reflect on March. All right. So in March 2025, we had 9 single-family dwelling permits, just a little bit down from 2024. But again, we're getting into the warmer season, so that should just go up increasingly each month through the summer. Doesn't look like we had many multifamily, actually none at all multifamily or duplexes come through in March, but we did have 83 total building permits for the month of March. Construction, we did just a little over 4 million in construction with about 551 inspections, encompassing 96,024 square feet of work. And as you can see, kind of February maybe had some more. That was maybe an outlier or just a push, but like I said, these should keep going up and follow a similar trend with the bar graph. And we had 110 code cases open in the month of March, primarily them being public health and safety and welfare, with a few coming from building and construction. Pretty steady as you look at the bar graph for code cases, mostly nuisance complaints and trash. We had quite a few applications come through in the month of March. We obviously had Tommy's, which went through the planning commission and then went on for approval at city council. We had the Blue Springs Business and Technology Park, which went through both planning commission and council. Flex Spaces, phase 2 that is, and then we had the Seven Brew go through planning commission and get approved by council just last Monday. And then we had the Hyper Energy Bar that was approved by you all, and then the Tim Hortons sign, and then definitely issuing signs. We got a few more, actually almost triple the signs in March 25 what we had approved in March 2024. And well, that about wraps it up for March. We had quite a few planning cases, so that was good, and I think we'll continue that trend throughout the year. Is there any other questions?
Any questions about the March report? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Willis.
Yep, thank you.
Any other business? The time we can talk about other stuff. Any comments, thoughts, words of wisdom? Hearing none, I would consider a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you for watching.